When you get your kit, it's going to come with a bunch of different pieces. You're going to want to separate those pieces out. You're going to have panels, you're going to have gables, panels, you're going to have corners and posts, benches, and a bunch of small parts that are going to be over here. You're going to have these bayless units and then a bunch of small parts. You're going to want to make sure and separate those out. Start by putting a corner post on a wall. And you can start at any corner you want to. Now, the important thing is you want to be flush at the top, and around here on the face, you're going to want to be flush on the face. And then you're going to want to put screws, top, middle, middle, bottom, and bottom. So we're just going to screw these panels in as we go, flushing all the way down each wall. And as soon as we're done with all the walls, we'll come back to the next thing. So when you're putting the panels together, you always want to make sure they're flush on top here and that the face is flush. So you want to start screwing at the top and walk the board down so that your face comes out flush all the way down the panel. All right, we're going to put in the door now. It's the last panel. As you can see, we've got all the way around and back at the door here. Now what you want to, really important with the door, is you do not want to screw in from the door side. You always want to screw in from the wall side. So we'll finish this door up. We're going to put the door handle on, and then we'll get to the next part. All right, so the next part is going to be the top plate. And what we're going to do here is it's going to pinwheel. So this one will come to here, this one will start here, but on the back side, it'll be opposite. So then the next board will start there and go along the back. And this will help with the shear strength of the structure. And you just want to make sure everything's flush as you're going through all this stuff and making sure your face looks nice and square and flush.
It's part of the new design.
All right, next part is going to be your gables. They're going to look like these triangles. They're going to have a post on the front here. You're going to want to make sure that's flush with your face, and it will not come right to the back. It'll be off just a little bit here. That's perfect. That's what we want. You just want to make sure your keys are lined up and your face is lined up. And then we're going to screw that in from the inside. We'll do the other side, and then we'll come back for the next part. All right, so next up, we have the vent windows. Now, it's very important to know that the vent windows on the outside, the gable side, into the middle, those will be a little bit wider than the ones that are in the middle themselves. So you'll want to get a tape measure and make sure you have the wider ones on the outside of your greenhouse, and then the shorter ones go on the inside.
Oh, there you go.
And what we're going to do is we're just going to screw all these in, and I will post a video of what it looks like after it's done. All right, now the next stage, after you got all of your vent windows on, as you can see, they're all up, is we're going to put these top 4x4 posts on. Now you'll have a little beam stop right here that'll, you slide it right up against that 4x4, and that'll put you right where you need to be lengthwise. And then we're just going to screw all the way down the gable. And then in the middle, we're going to secure our middle beams here and on the back. And then we'll just do that all the way across the roof. And then we'll head on to the roof poly. All right, so next we have these bird blocks that are going to go on the back. And you're going to want to flush those to the face on this side. And then you're going to want to follow this angle of your 4x4. And we'll pocket these screws in here and here. And then we'll come back and put a couple screws in from the bottom up into the board. When you're all done with them, these bird blocks on the back will look like this. And they will be flush with your outer face. So here is a rear view of those bird blocks. As you can see, they're flushed up to the walls down the line. Okay, we're getting ready to put the bracers on. As you can see, there's going to be a couple different sizes. Again, the longer ones will go to the outsides for facing the gable. The inner ones will be from truss to truss beam. So the outer ones go to the gable, those will be the long ones, and then the inner ones will be shorter. Now we're getting ready to put the roof cross bracers on. Again, your longer bracers are going to go to the outside from the middle truss to the gable. Your shorter braces will go from this truss to the next free hanging truss. And we're going to use these little stops right here, and we're just going to put the 2x4s directly on those. We're going to want to squeeze this together, and then we're going to go ahead and screw to the tops of these for our bracers. So when we're putting on our bracers, there's going to be 3 sections. You're going to have one on the back here, one in the middle, and one at the very top. And you're going to want to put all of those on first, and then we will go to the next part. Now that we have all of our bracers in, what we're going to do is we're going to have to put our roof poly on. Now when the poly comes to you, it's going to have a written side and a clear side. The written side needs to be up. All right, so once you peel that, you won't be able to tell the difference, so just make sure you keep track of that. And then we're going to lay it down here, and you want to stick over about 7/8 on all 3 sides. And I like to use the singles. So you're going to have some singles gable moldings. They're going to have this profile on them. The doubles will have one on each side. The singles and the gable moldings will have one on one side. And I like to use that to position my plastic. So I make sure it's flush here, all the way across, and on the side. And then I will secure the poly with the roof screws that we provide for you, which are also T20. So you're just going to go ahead and use these little pan heads, and when you screw them into the poly, you don't want to create a divot. You don't want to try to go way down into the poly. You just want to make sure that pan head is resting flat and flush on your poly. When you're securing the roof poly, you're going to want to use these pan head screws, and you can see here it's not divoted down, it's flush right on top there. And you're going to want to put those in about 3 spots on the top. And then when you get around to the bottom, the board at the end, the cross bracer, you're going to want to put a couple of these screws in there, and that will help for your wind resistance. And then after that, we're just going to do all the way across. We're going to get all this done, and then we're going to put the roof pieces on. The other thing to remember is, as same with the bracers, the vents that we've done, the wider pieces go to the outside gable, and the shorter, narrower pieces are going to end up going to the middle section. Now we're going to start doing the roof. You're going to see, again, these roof parts have this profile on the end. The double would have 2, and those will go down the middle, whereas these singles were going to go up top here and along the sides here. And all you got to do is flush them to the face, whichever face you're working on. And then you're going to want to screw them down a few different times. And what's really important is when you're done, you should have a nice tight seam right here on your poly. That should actually squish your poly down just a little bit so that it's pinching that poly and giving you a nice seal against raining. All right, so once your roof is done, you'll see all these boards are pinching down in the middle and on the top. And then the last part of the roof is on these back farthest cross bracers. You're going to want to go ahead and put some of those 1.5 inch roof screws with the pan head into there, because they'll be past your drip line, so they won't cause a drip issue. And you can just put a 2 across there, and that will help with any wind.
Videos.
Next step is going to be putting in your benches. So we need to pre-drill some pieces, and what you're going to want to do is, this is the face, this is going to have the bigger piece, this will be your face. So on the back, you're going to want to pre-drill here on the frame, and then across the back in a couple spots, and at the end. And then we're going to mount that right to this section right here. It does help to have an extra person when you're mounting these benches, because you need somebody to screw it and someone to hold it, and they are fairly low. And as you can see, we're screwing into the corner in our pre-drilled hole at every section. And what you want to do is make sure the bottom of your bench is flush with the bottom of that cross 2x4 that you're mounting to. All right, so your last piece for the bench is going to be this cantilever piece. It's going to have angle on both ends, and it should be pre-drilled. The long angle is going to go up. You're going to want to level your bench face here, and you want to make sure once you get these 2 benches together that you put a screw into the frames to tighten these. And then we're going to set this up underneath, level our bench, and just like that. And that will be your bench support once you're finished. And you put 2 screws into the wall and a screw up in here. All right, so now we're going to put these blocks up on the actual vent windows. And all you got to do is center those on your vent window, on each vent window. We're going to put one in each center. And that's what we're going to mount our bayless system to be able to auto open the front vents. So you just screw them in the pockets on the corners, and these should be pre-drilled for you, and they go right against the middle of your frame. All right, so lastly, we have our bayless mount system. So what we want to do is we want to take a pre-drill and our 1 5/8 screws, and you're going to want to mount that here about a 1/2 inch back and just centered on your mount block here, and then 2 right here. And you want to go up about a 1/2 inch here as well. You're trying to avoid running into your poly or glass or whatever you have right here. And then, of course, this is your bayless system. The hinges are going to go on bottom, the springs, sorry. And then you'll see this long pin sticking out here. And what you want to do is you have this roller right here. And what you can do here is we're going to screw that onto the back of that. And it's going to have tension. So you're going to have to push the window out. And then you want to screw this all the way in. And then your window will activate. And once it's about 70 degrees in here, it'll start activating and venting for you by itself. So now the window is mounted, vented. You can see I got that roll pin all the way in, and you can use that to manipulate the temperature inside here. The farther you back that off, the hotter it has to get before your window will engage. So that's an option if you're trying to do some temperature control. But as you can see here, it's all mounted, it's done. We're gonna get the other 2 on here, and then our greenhouse will be done, and we'll show final product. All right, so this will be the final product once it's finished. This is what it's gonna look like. Nice little 9x6 modern slant shed style roof with the forward vents. You can see here, this is what we got. We've got our door, and there are some times where you might have to shimmy your door if it's not closing properly. We got our little Dutch window right here. This will open up for you and give you some little bit of ventilation. So that's a nice door feature. And then as you can see, we got our benches on the inside, a nice roof, 6-foot wall in the back with a 8-foot wall in the front. We got our bayless system working, and we have some nice French windows back here, open and close to provide some cross breeze. So that will be the finished product.